4 terrifying missing persons cases from Europe. All around the world, thousands of people are reported missing every day. Most of them are found safe and sound, but unfortunately, sometimes we never get any answers. These are 4 terrifying missing persons cases from Europe. Number 4. The Missing Boy of Somosierra. On June 25, 1986, truck driver Andres Martinez set off to make a delivery. It was 6 a.m. when Andres, carrying 20,000 liters of pure sulfuric acid in his truck tank, began the descent into the Somosierra Mountain Pass north of Madrid, Spain. But the drivers alongside him could immediately tell something was wrong. The truck was going downhill way too fast. One driver said the big truck swerved past him in the same lane, then also did the same thing to a second vehicle. It came so close to this next one that it knocked off its side mirror. The truck then reaches a third vehicle, hitting it from the back and pushing it off the road. Seconds later, an oncoming truck hits Andres, who was clocking in at around 140 miles per hour. The impact was so great it overturned the truck, rupturing its contents and spilling the acid all over, creating a toxic cloud. Road rescuers rushed in as police attempted to contain the acid so it wouldn't reach the river and cause an ecological disaster. Meanwhile, emergency personnel attended to the injured. When they checked the truck, Andres was found dead with signs of acid corrosion, but he wasn't the only one. His wife, Carmen Gomez, was also in the truck, and she too was dead. The acid delivery was taken from Cartagena and was expected to be delivered that day in Bilbao on the other side of the country. On the afternoon of the incident, a civil guard agent calls Carmen's mother to inform her that her daughter and son-in-law had died in the car crash. Her response then shocked the officer. She asks, "And the boy? Please tell me the boy is all right." It turns out it wasn't just Andres and Carmen that traveled that day. There was also their 10-year-old son, Juan Martinez. The child had been begging his dad to take him on one of his road travels. His father told him that he needed to get good grades in school, and if he did, he would then take him. Juan delivered, and soon they set off on the next delivery. It's believed Andres persuaded his wife Carmen to go with them so she could keep watch on their son. Police went back to the crime scene to look for signs of the boy. They found children's clothes in the back of the truck, including cassette tapes for kids, but his body wasn't there. Authorities lifted the truck to see if he was thrown off or pinned down somehow in the wreckage. They also searched nearby areas to make sure he didn't wander off after the accident, perhaps disoriented. They also dug up the sand and lime to find out if he was buried underneath somehow, but they were unable to find any trace of the boy. Authorities said even if he was doused with sulfuric acid, it would take at least 24 hours for that acid to eat all the soft tissues and at least 5 days to break down the bones. However, the nails, hair, and teeth wouldn't dissolve in acid, so there should be remnants of him there if he was indeed in the truck. During the investigation, police traced the truck's previous course, and it was found to have made correct scheduled stops. At least one waiter even recalled seeing the family together, even remembering what they had ordered, 2 coffees for the adults and a cake for the boy. While the waiter didn't see them entering the tanker truck, he did recall seeing a tanker pull out of the parking lot shortly after the family left the table. The search for Juan Martinez is considered one of the most mysterious missing person cases that Interpol has encountered. Speculation and theories soon began as to the boy's mysterious disappearance, especially when details about the accident itself were revealed. It turns out the truck never lost its brakes, as opposed to what most drivers on the road thought. But instead, Andres had sped up the truck as if he was chasing another vehicle. Then curiously, while at the mountain pass, he made 12 extremely short stops lasting between 1 to 20 seconds. It was unusual and suspect, especially since truckers claim the area is often hijacked by cartel operatives who threatened truckers to carry drugs over the border for them. This leads us to one of the theories proposed, that Andres was forced to carry drugs and the boy was taken hostage to ensure that he would do it. It's either he complied or he refused and likely sped up the truck to try and give chase to the kidnappers. An investigation was launched on Andres Martinez's business, and he was not found to be tied to any drug cartel or shady dealings. But then there are also other details that don't make any sense. For instance, 2 supposed shepherds, as well as drivers of those who were in other vehicles during the accident, testified seeing 2 tall, Nordic-looking people in white doctor's outfits checking in on them after the accident. This gave way to conspiracy theories about a possible UFO abduction. Regardless of the theories, there's no denying that even until now, Juan Martinez, the young 10-year-old boy who only wanted to see the countryside, remains missing, and no one knows what happened to him. Number 3. David Guevara, the boy artist. At only 13 years old, David Guevara from Malaga, Spain, was already getting buzz for his talents. David was a skilled painter. His painting, Christ of the Good Death, was chosen by the prestigious La Maison Gallery in Malaga to be part of their collective Easter exhibition. The young boy was very happy and is shown in newspaper clippings attending the event and standing next to his art. His family and friends described him as a shy and introverted boy. He rarely went anywhere by himself. In fact, he often rode the bus to and from school with his brother Jorge. On April 6, 1987, David attended school. Nothing seemed wrong, although a classmate said David complained of having a headache and stomach cramps. Once he got home at 6 p.m., he still wasn't feeling well and refused to eat a sandwich. That evening, he was set to have an interview with a local radio host at the La Maison Gallery. Although his father was supposed to drive him, he was unable to because something came up at work. So instead, David headed out by himself. He took his art supplies since after the interview he was going to attend the Art Academy. He carried his art supply bag, his bus pass, and then headed out. At 9 p.m., his father Jose went to the Art Academy to get him, but to his surprise, he was told David never showed up for his classes. Jose headed to La Maison and also found out David never showed up for the interview either. He drove home and David wasn't there. Then he knew something was seriously wrong and reported his son missing. Police were baffled by the disappearance. It was odd because the bus station was near David's house, around a 10 to 15 minute walk. That day, Queen Sofia was visiting Malaga, so there was traffic and quite a bit of people on the street. However, no one seemed to have noticed or seen the boy at the bus stop or anywhere else. They interviewed the bus drivers, asking if they picked him up, but no one could say they did. Although his family suspected foul play, police leaned heavily on the possibility that David may have run away. His family was skeptical, though, because David was a conservative young boy and his life centered on his family and his art. But the police insisted he ran away to become a bohemian artist, maybe heading to Portugal. A year later, a hotel maid in Malaga approached police saying that she once saw David's full name scribbled on a piece of a napkin. Police looked into who rented the hotel at the time and traced it to a Swiss national. Curiously, David once drew a caricature of an old man resembling the Swiss suspect. But when police sought him out, they found out he had already died. They were given permission to search the man's belongings by his widow. They found out he was a photographer who also stayed in Malaga. But when they searched his belongings, they could not find anything that hinted that he knew David at all. For years, the case remained open, but there was basically no movement. In 2016, after 29 years, his family finally requested the court to declare David officially deceased. To this day, the case of David Guevara, the boy artist, remains a mystery. Number 2. Juliet Points. Espionage and a tale of a missing Soviet spy. That is the life of Juliet Points. Born in Omaha, Nebraska, she was a feminist, communist, and American suffragist who held radical views throughout her life. She is said to be the co-founder of the Communist Party of the United States, but later left the group in 1934 to become an agent for the Soviet military secret police. 2 years later, in 1936, she secretly traveled to Moscow and was waiting for further instructions from the Soviet authorities. But while there, she saw the Great Purge started by Stalin, seeing many of her comrades and the people she worked with killed. Points became disillusioned and decided to head back to the U.S., deciding she would no longer continue spying for the Soviets. But it was here in the U.S. that Points' life took a crazy turn. On the evening of June 3, 1937, she was seen leaving the American Women's Association clubhouse in Manhattan, New York, and this would be the last time anyone ever saw her. During the investigation, it was found that all her items, including her luggage, clothing, and other belongings, were intact in her room. This indicated she was not planning to go anywhere for very long. The following year, a leading Italian-American anarchist, Carlo Tresca, accused the Soviets of kidnapping Points. He said they did so in order to prevent her from defecting, and that prior to her disappearance, he had spoken to her, and she told of how she was disgusted by what she had seen while in Moscow. More testimony soon followed, stating her disappearance might be tied to the Soviet Comintern agent, Joseph Peters. It's believed Peters had planned the kidnapping and killing of Points with the help of a Soviet assassination squad. Former Soviet agent Whittaker Chambers had said he heard Points was killed for desertion. Former KGB officers and defectors also claimed to have heard Points was killed for being a traitor. It's thought that prior to her death, Points told comrades she was planning on creating a book exposing the communist movement. According to autobiographer Benjamin Gitlow, Points had become disillusioned with the movement after witnessing the first round of Stalin's purges. Hence, she decided to stop being a spy agent for the Soviets. On the night she disappeared, Gitlow said she was lured outside by her former lover, Shankno Epstein, under the premise of walking around Central Park. While walking on a side path, a black limousine came in and two men jumped out, grabbing Points. They shoved her inside the car and then sped away. They then took her to the woods close to Roosevelt's estate, killed her, and buried the body. They took measures of covering her body with lime and dirt, then trampling dead leaves and branches to ensure that it wouldn't be found. Despite the accusations, and in fact several people coming forward to confessing to killing her, no one has ever been charged. She continues to remain missing and was declared officially dead in October of 1944. Her only surviving relative is her sister. Number 1. The Schultz Family. On July 21, 2015, the Schultz family from Drag, Germany, were seen visiting a horse farm close to their house. Their daughter, 12-year-old Miriam, was fond of horses and loved to ride them. The next day was the last day of school before the holidays would start, and while the weather was pleasant, Miriam didn't feel good and decided to stay home. Her father stayed with her while her mother headed to a nearby supermarket to work. But on July 24th, Sylvia's boss reported her missing to police. That same day, police visited the Schultz home to check on the family. Despite knocking and ringing, nobody answered. They opened the door to find the family cats inside. All the family's belongings, paperwork, wallets, and more were still inside as well. Nothing seemed to miss, except that the family wasn't there. In the next few days, police tried searching for any sign of them, but with no luck. That was until July 31st, when they discovered the body of Marco Schultz in a nearby pond. He was bound and his body weighed down with a 25-kilogram concrete block. They tried looking for evidence of Sylvia and Miriam, but couldn't find them. They did, however, find Miriam's bike, which was located under the bridge from where Marco was found. Police tried to work backward, piecing together what had happened. At first, they weren't sure whether foul play was involved or it was a murder-suicide situation. Apparently, on July 22nd, while Sylvia was at work, Marco stayed with Miriam at home. He was seen buying cigarettes that day. In the afternoon, Miriam had a doctor's appointment, but she never showed up. At around 4 or 5 p.m., Sylvia left work, and that night, Marco was seen taking out the trash around 7:30. The next morning at around 7:30, witnesses said they saw Marco driving back to their home. No one knows where he was coming from. By August 5th, a witness had come forward saying she saw the family the same day they disappeared on July 22nd at a nearby dike 40 kilometers away from their home. When police searched this area, scent dogs traced both Miriam and Sylvia's scent leading to the dike, but could not find a scent heading back out. For Marco, the dogs were able to find his scent leading to the dike and heading back out. A search for Sylvia and Miriam's bodies were conducted, but nothing was found. Some theorized Marco had killed his wife and daughter, then dumped their bodies at the dike. However, there were 2 recorded phone calls Marco made just hours after in their home. The 40-kilometer drive, along with the supposed killings or disposing of the bodies, would have been impossible for him to pull off in just 2 hours. What's more, the police couldn't find a motive for the killings. No suicide note was discovered, and there were no signs of mental distress in the family or Marco himself. But of course, others speculated another party may have been involved with their deaths, but there is no proof of this either. As of right now, the case still remains unsolved. So there were 4 terrifying missing persons cases from Europe. Going missing is one thing, but when a person is never found, the hardest part to deal with is simply not having any answers. If you enjoy watching this video, then please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. We have new videos every Wednesday and Saturday that we know you'll want to check out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.